Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to be talking about Keyforge and how Keyforge defeated the meta, but now suffers mediocrity because it defeated the meta. So let's get into it. All right, so Keyforge is now out. It came out in November 2018. We are now in March 2019, so we've seen 5 months of play. All right. I had predicted that Keyforge would be a tsunami or a ripple, and what I meant was, I think when Keyforge came out, there was really only one question. Keyforge is a card game that you can purchase that is created by Richard Garfield. Richard Garfield designed Magic the Gathering, and when Keyforge came out, the question was, is Keyforge going to defeat or replace Magic the Gathering? I think everybody was paying attention. That was the question on everybody's mind. Okay? I think it's a completely legitimate question. And I will say, I think it was a goal of both FFG and Keyforge to defeat Magic the Gathering. I don't think either one of them would ever acknowledge that publicly, but that's my opinion that was their goal. Okay? All right. It has not done that. There is no Friday Night Keyforge. Okay? Also, the game has sold well, but it has not remotely outsold Magic the Gathering, and there are no signs 5 months later that it will ever replace Magic the Gathering. Okay, so let's talk about what was it a successful game? What was the fate overall of Keyforge 5 months in? And I think we could see the trajectory of where the game is going, right? Because now just so they're aware, Keyforge Call of the Archons came out in November 2018. We're going to see Keyforge Age of Ascension in July 2019, which is a new expansion of Keyforge that you can buy. It's actually a standalone game. You don't need to own any Call of the Archon, just like any new Magic set, right? So, and here's the thing. I think Keyforge has sold well, and I think it will continue to sell well. It is clear now, in my opinion, that Keyforge will absolutely never outsell Magic the Gathering. We've seen that, right? Now, why is this? That's the point of this entire video. I think the reason why is Keyforge defeated the meta, okay? Keyforge is now suffering. It was neither a tsunami or a ripper. It's a swell, okay? It's a significant wave that is washed into the market. It has, there's plenty of volume. People are happy with the overall performance, but nobody's thrilled, and it's clear now that there may never be a Friday Night Keyforge, right? They're just like, there wasn't one in my area. We don't see a lot of Keyforge tournaments, that kind of thing, okay? It's certainly not at the level of what you see for Magic the Gathering, right? Now, okay, so why is this? Well, it defeated the meta, okay? So what does it mean that Keyforge defeated the meta? So the meta is a problem that every single competitive game in the world, and actually even non-competitive games have now, where essentially what happens is you learn. So let's talk about Magic the Gathering. Okay, you learn Magic the Gathering. You learn how to play Magic the Gathering. Great. You had a friend who taught you. You played a few games. You know how to play Magic the Gathering. You know how to build decks. You know how to fight competitively. Okay. Now, essentially, once that happens, one of your friends comes in and says, "Okay, you can forget all that nonsense because there's only one way." Your friend who's very honest says there's only one way that Magic's really played at macro level, right? There's a few little pockets of a different kind of play. A few people play in a different way, but at the macro level, here's how Magic the Gathering is actually played. You're going to go watch the PTQs. You're going to watch the best players in the world. You're going to see what their decks are. You're going to choose one of their decks. You're going to build their deck, and then you're going to crush everybody at your local game store who isn't doing the same thing. Right? Anybody who creates their own decks, anybody who buys some Magic off the shelf, and buys a box of Magic, breaks it all out, and then plays with their friends, you're gonna beat them. And the reason why is, all you have to do to win in Magic the Gathering is simply just go, watch what the top decks are. Copy one of those top decks, and you're going to beat 90% of the players in your FLGS. You're going to beat 90% of your friends, right? So it's a waste of time to learn how to really construct decks or really even play the game well on your own. You just get the best deck and go win, right? That's the meta, okay? The meta exists for every single game to now, and it is a huge problem because of the internet. The internet has created net decks, and it's caused huge problems for every single game, because the reality is, if you're incredibly fortunate, and I think there's a few people, maybe 5 to 10% of the gaming community does this. They go, they buy a game, they play together. Nobody looks how the game is played by the top players in the world or the professional players, and they compete amongst themselves, right? I think 5 to 10% of the community plays this way, but most people, they have that one friend who's going to go on the internet, watch the top types of play, and then defeat everybody. Not because they're smarter, but because of this net deck mentality, this meta mentality, right? Saying it doesn't matter if you learn how to play a game well. It matters if you just follow the meta and then execute the meta, right? And what the meta says in short is, the meta says, if you are willing to pay with your time and your money, you don't have to think, right? That's the meta, okay? I think Richard Garfield saw this problem, not only for Magic the Gathering, but saw this problem for every single game out there. And he's like, I'm going to build a game using available technology that defeats the meta, that says, no, the internet will not help you win. And he struggled, and I think he succeeded. I think he fully slayed the meta. The meta is a dragon. Richard Garfield is simply a man with a sword. He ran around on the field really swiftly, and when the meta dragon put its neck down, to bite him, he stepped to the side and he slashed it through the throat, and he killed the meta. Okay, Garfield was fully successful in killing the meta. Keyforge kills the meta, right? And it's a great game, and it's a much better game for the experiencers, the purchasers and the gamers, than the creators, which are Garfield and FFG. Basically, if you are a Keyforge player, you are served fantastically. If you're Richard Garfield and FFG, you're served well. You should make good money, right? With Magic the Gathering, I think the creators of Magic the Gathering, they're just pouring it in, because that game absolutely encourages everybody to follow the meta, and it fires an engine of commerce that just continuously encourages repetitive purchase, right? And you can see it, like Magic Gathering is an incredibly profitable game, okay? All right, Garfield slayed the meta, right? So now why aren't we all living in a wonderland where Keyforge is the king of card games, right? And we're all buying Keyforge in large amounts, and also celebrating Keyforge more than Magic. That's just not the world we're living in right now. It purely isn't, right? So why is that? Well, here's the thing. Once Richard Garfield slayed the meta, basically the villagers, that's us, that's the gamers, right? And the purchasers said, hey, go bring in a new dragon. Or actually, I think a better way to say it, no pun intended here, the villager says to the wizards of the town, resurrect that dragon. We like that dragon. That's the world we know. That's the world we want to live in. Nobody here wants to think about living in a dragonless world, right? Because then our actions are our own. We have to choose what to do. We don't have freedom, right? Basically, freedom makes us think, right? And so that's the issue is when Keyforge came out, you could see it. People were terrified. There were like shop owners who were terrified, heavy Magic players who were terrified. It was like, oh my gosh, are there going to be 1,000 players for me to play with? Right? Because maybe my game goes away because people don't care about it anymore. And all my time and investment in money and all the net decks I've built and all the experience I have playing and building net decks and all the relationships I have to help me build net decks, right, are going to be gone. They're not going to matter, right? Because I'm going to be in a world where I need to build my own deck, and I need to think about how I play, and I need to win on my own, right? And that's I think that's the issue. That's the sad thing that we've learned from Keyforge, is that gamers and purchasers desire the meta, right? They want a system of invest your time, invest your money. You don't have to think. You can just win on somebody else's innovation and work, right? And it's truly sad. It's truly sad. So I am very sad that that Keyforge is not a more successful product, and I'm very sad to learn that we, the villagers, are asking the wizard to resurrect the slain dragon so that we can live under its shadow, right? And it's kind of sad. By the way, I want to be clear. I loved the Magic the Gathering for a long, long time. I really did. It's a brilliant game. It was a true innovation during its time. I've really struggled with the game recently because a perfect example of this is I went to a pauper tournament. And this is why I'm talking about this today. I went to a pauper tournament about 2 months ago, and I worked all week on my pauper deck. My pauper deck was cobbled together from a massive collection that I own that goes from back to the very beginning of the hobby, 1993. I looked through over 10,000 cards to build this deck. I only built from the deck from the cards I already owned, right? I came in to an all-day tournament, and there were only 12 people in the whole tournament, right? And the guy who organized the tournament, I sit down, and the guy who organized the opponent, his buddy comes in 5 minutes late. The tournament owner hands him a deck, and he says, "How does this work?" Right, my opponent, and he says to him, he says a two-word name. And the guy goes, "Oh, just like ex-pro player plays." And I'm like, pro players for pauper? Right? And it's like, so they must have played this on some YouTube channel or something. I don't think it was, it certainly wasn't a pro tournament. Perhaps there are pauper pro tournaments, maybe not. And I got stumped. I got absolutely stomped by a guy who had spent no time with the deck, never built the deck, and was literally handed the deck, right? And that was the day I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't play this meta, right? I can't, this is too frustrating, right? And this was supposed to be a fun tournament, just like there was no prizes, right? There was, and the guy who was organizing the tournament thought it was okay for his buddy to just waltz in and for him to hand, and that was, part of the spirit of the day's play, right? And so I will say, I'm a little disappointed that the meta is so strong and that the villagers are asking for the dragon of meta to be resurrected. I think Richard Garfield deserved more. I think FFG deserved more. And I think the problem is us. It's not the creators. The problem is the experiencers. It's the gamers, it's the purchasers, it's the players, it's the purchasers of card games that are the problem. It's not the creators. And boy, man, I will tell you right now, I'll take pride in this video because you go online right now, man. You are not good. You can spin around on YouTube and throw a rock, and you're going to hit somebody saying that WotC's doing it wrong, right? And the reality is, I'll tell you right now, it is not WotC's problem. We, the experiencers, the players and purchasers of card games, are the problem. We cleave to the meta. We love the meta. And as at the macro level, we like the model of invest your time, invest your money, and you don't have to think. You can just copy a net deck. And there are people who think that's how Magic's played. It's sad and it's horrible and it needs to die. And Richard Garfield killed it. And we, the villagers, went and asked for that dragon to be resurrected. It is just sad and ugly. And man, I hope there's a way to fix this. And in some way, I'm making this video because I'm going to say to you, how do we fix this? How do we fix this? How do we kill the meta and keep it dead? Richard Garfield killed it for us, and people are resurrecting it. They're preserving it. They're keeping it alive, right? How do we kill the dragon of meta, and how do we keep it dead? Right? That's my question. All right. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful day.